In this video, we're going to quickly go over the changes to Paladin from Season 1 to Season 2, and how these changes could affect the Protection Paladin's tanking and Mythic Pluses. Starting in the Paladin talent tree, Imperial Ward and the subsequent talent After Image were swapped out due to Uther's Council in the Protection tree taking a massive nerf, where the cooldown reduction from Uther's Council was reduced from 30% to 15%. Lightforged Blessing was taken out due to receiving a nerf. Its heal of 2% was reduced to 1%. I removed a point from Righteous Protection as I felt it wasn't needed during Season 1 as much as initially thought, and with Season 2, the one free talent point would be better placed elsewhere. With those free points, they are put into Fist of Justice for quicker cooldown on Hammer of Justice, Unbound Freedom, which increases movement speed by 30%, and you gain Blessing of Freedom as well if you cast it on a friendly target, a 2-for-1, Lead the Charge for increased movement speed and it helps reduce the cooldown of nearby allies' major movement abilities, and 1 point into Seal of Might for another 2% into Mastery and Strength for 4% total in both. On the Protection tree, I removed Tyrion's Devotion as it reduces Lay of Hands cooldown, and with Uther's Council nerf and Templar buff, the build isn't as strong as it once was. Faith and Light's 2 talent points were removed as they are needed elsewhere, but as I mentioned later on, you can swap out a skill to put 1 point back into it. And of course, Uther's Council was removed due to the 50% nerf it received, taking the cooldown from 30% to 15%. Those 4 points were put into the following: 1 into Tyr's Enforcer, which causes Avenger's Shield to deal holy damage to all enemies within 5 yards of each target hit, great for more DPS and threat generation. With the buffs to Templar, and that being the hero class choice for Season 2 so far, 1 point was put into Sanctuary, and 1 point into Consecration and Flame, as Undisputed Ruling in the Templar hero class tree will auto-cast Consecration when Hammer of Light is used, so increasing the amount of time Consecration is down, and giving it a 20% damage buff is a must. The last point was placed into Inmost Light, as that buffs Eye of Tyr's damage by 300% and reduces its cooldown by 33%. A must-have as the entire Templar hero tree revolves around Eye of Tyr. The buffs that Templar hero talent tree received for Season 2 are pretty substantial, making it the better choice when going into Mythic Pluses as a tank. Templar requires Eye of Tyr and Inmost Light to use. However, unlike Lightsmith, everything is a passive in the tree, other than Light's Guidance, which turns Eye of Tyr into a Hammer of Light for 12 seconds after cast, allowing you to free up your toolbars and not have to cycle in more skills. Thus, you can streamline your tank in rotation. Undisputed Ruling in the Templar tree was updated. Now Hammer of Light when cast will cast Shield of Righteous, cast a Consecration beneath the selected target, and increase your haste by 12% for 6 seconds. This is massive, as with the press of 1 skill, you get more armor, strength, and stamina from Shield of Righteous, 50% reduced enemy movement speed from Consecration, and that 12% haste buff. Additionally, Eye of Tyr grants 3 holy power. Lightsmith received a nerf to the Tempered in Battle skill, as Sacred Weapons health redistribution may only occur once per cast now, instead of unlimited times, which was one of its main selling points in Season 1. It also has a bunch more skills you need to actively use, so for those of you who want simple and less skills on the toolbar, Templar beats it in that category as well. For skills you can change. You could swap out Avenging Wrath to Sentinel for more health and defensives. However, you shouldn't need to do this unless you are really new to Paladin tanking and want an extra safety net. You could also swap out Relentless Inquisitor to Faith in the Light for extra block when healing yourself. This is something I would change out later in the season as you get more haste, and don't need the procs from Relentless. If you want, you can swap Final Stand to Moment of Glory if you want a quicker cooldown, some damage mitigation, and a 20% damage buff to Avenger's Shield with the cooldown reduced by 75%. The differences are that Final Stand will let you do a massive pull, being invulnerable for 8 seconds while having the mobs taunted on you. This is great if you have the AoE DPS to kill the mobs quickly. Moment of Glory will give you a DPS boost and an Absorb Shield for 15 seconds, and be up quicker than Final Stand, as Final Stand is dependent on Divine Shield, which has a 3.5 minute cooldown, while Moment in Glory has a 1.5 minute cooldown. For progressing though, I'd recommend keeping Final Stand. Overall, Protection Paladin is looking just as strong, if not slightly stronger going into Season 2 from Season 1. With the main hero talent tree swapping from Lightsmith to Templar, we will see if Protection Paladin can surpass the milestones as set in Season 1 in Mythic Pluses as a dominant tanking class. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Content comes out regularly with lore videos on Sunday, ambiance videos on Monday, and World of Warcraft Protection Paladin content on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays.